consider that I just need to, I think maybe I'm doing what's comfortable for me. So this calls upon you to do what's uncomfortable for you, because that most likely is the most effective way. Okay, I'm going to skip a couple of slides. They are in your workbook. But basically, it's just different things to think about when you are talking or when you're listening for cues about directness and indirectness. And if we have time, we can come back to them. I want to go to agreements and commitments. And so what we're doing now is we're going to go for another 7 minutes or so until lunch arrives, and then we'll stop. So we'll just keep going. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, with respect to lunch, he forgot to load our food. It needs to be 45 minutes from 2 minutes ago, so it's 43 minutes from now. That is an assertion. No, that's an interpretation. When it arrives, I will assert that the lunch has arrived, but not before it arrives.
Okay, so we're thinking about 12:30, so we'll
so you can
keep going. You guys are okay? Keep going, and then we'll take a break at 12:30, and we'll take an hour break.
And coffee and hot water and stuff, just
Okay.
fresh. So
And feel free to get up and, and if I skip some slides, it's just because I may have covered them already, or I may cover them, but I just want you to have them so that later on you can go back to them. Okay, so first, remember where we were. We talked about, in general, those 5 speech moves. Then we looked at the different communication styles. Now we're going to look at how different cultures teach us how to gain, how to reach agreements and gain commitments from each other. That's also very culturally shaped. So if you are from independent culture, and the next couple of slides are actually 5 slides, they're going to be more of, if you are from this culture, here is what you need to know, and then the opposite culture. So if you are independent, obviously these are going to come very easily, they're going to become very obvious to you because you experience these. But like I said, what is different now is you're beginning to see where they came from. Yes may just mean I hear you. True agreements will always be more than a yes. And that's really the key, is that if you come from an independent culture, when someone says yes, they have made an agreement. They just made a commitment. They just made a promise. So that's a promise. Well, that's not a promise when you're dealing with interdependent cultures. That's when there is hierarchy and relationships and discomfort, potentially, because they just don't want to tell you no. They're going to say yes, which means, it means that, listen, this is really what it means. It means, okay, I care about this relationship. I care about the fact that this is important to you. So here's what I promise. I promise that I'm going to try to go and make that happen, whatever it is. But there is a social contract underneath it, which says that if I fail, you got my back, and you understand that I have given it my best, and you're going to cover me. You're going to give me air cover when that happens. You know what I mean? So there's that yes is always given in the context of the relationships, that we are going to understand, that you're going to understand if I try so hard to try to make it happen, and I can't make it. But the thing that makes it where it's not a yes, it will always be in the message. The person that actually means no, or means I don't know if I can do it or not, but the appropriate thing for me to say right now is yes. They always will give you the breadcrumbs to tell you that yes is very conditional. Okay? That yes it means, okay, I'm going to go try, but you understand the rules. So does it make sense so far? So that's why, it's very seductive to hear a yes. When you hear a yes, especially if you are independent, it's like a yes, it's a promise. Thank you, I'll talk to you later. Wait. There is this other piece that I'm going to say, which is going to actually tell you that I'm not going to be able to deliver it. But you're not going to be listening to that. Because if the person does not mean yes, if they meant no, you're assuming that they are independent. They're going to express themselves. They're going to assert themselves. Why would they say no? Like, why would they say yes if they did not commit? You see where the system of thought has shaped how we interpret yes. So the other person is saying, are you crazy? Me telling you no? What kind of person would I be to tell you no? Obviously, we are in a relationship. Obviously, you are higher up. Are you crazy? Of course I'm going to say yes. What you're asking is unreasonable. What you're asking is unfeasible. You must know that I'm going to try to go and make it happen. But you'll understand when I encounter issues. Plus, I'm going to tell you all what you need to know, and I hope that you will understand, because remember, the responsibility for the meaning is with the listener. Does it make sense, guys? Does it make sense? Any thoughts?
Yes, of course, I also have a thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a person that I work with that's from Egypt.
Yes, interdependent culture, most likely.
Yes. And he has learned not to say yes. So he will take the direction, he will work on it, but he won't say that he's going to get it done by a certain date and time. No matter how much I finagle, no matter how much I try to isolate, break down the tasks, he will not do it. So I always have to, at the end of the conversation, say, well, this is how much time that I'm going to propose for it. Does this sound like it's feasible? And of course, there'll always be conditions. Then he'll let me proceed with it, but he will not ever give me a timeline because of his cultural concerns about it and what he's learned working with the West, right?
Yeah, commitments. And that's his way of developing a style that will always give him that sense where he's not going to disappoint you. You see, if he does it that way, he will never disappoint you. There's nothing worse for an interdependent person than to disappoint.
Right.
Like,
that's what he wants to do, is make sure he doesn't say, I'm going to do it by this time.
yeah. So that's his style of preserving or preserving the relationship, because you will never be surprised, or you'll never be disappointed because he never communicated any dates. So any dates is going to be okay.
So that's an interesting nuance. It's not CYA, it's I don't want to disappoint.
It's always about the relationship, absolutely. That's really the key. It's always about the relationship. It's always about preserving the relationship. It's always about maintaining the relationships. That's how this ingrained in the neurology, because that's what you've been raised on, and that's what you do. That's how you express your individuality. That's how you express your sense of word. That's how this, that's how their system of thought has prepared them to be a successful person in society. That's how they get rewarded. Yes, Jacqueline?
It was a wonderful experience working with a film company in Ireland, and the electricians were all Irish, and the guys coming in from England were running the project. The company is called Working Title. Next time you're in the movie.
Yes. I just saw them lately, yeah.
Yeah, they do. They're quite big now. They were very small initially. Anyway, and this English guy comes in, and the Irish guys are doing work for him, specifically the electricians and basically the labourers, the blue-collar workers. And he is he's English, so he's whining all the time, English whining all the time. You always know when you've left Ireland or another country and gone to England, because the people are always whining. And so he's whining how awful the Irish are, and they never give you a straight answer, they never give you a deadline, and they're awful, and he wishes he was back in England, and the Irish are awful, and he still wishes he was back in England. So he continues like this day in, day out, because the English are like that, they whine all the time. And not that I have any prejudice. And then at about 3 months into the project, he goes home to England, he comes back to Ireland, and he gets drunk one night at a party, and he starts crying about how wonderful the Irish are and how hard the English are. And he wants to go back to England to work with them ever again. He doesn't know how he worked with them in the past. He's sure as hell not going to work with them in the future. And the Irish people are the only people he's ever going to work with. And what happened was that, unbeknownst to him, the Irish were always very easygoing, because it's considered rude to be exacting in your discussions, because it suggests that you don't trust people.
Yeah.
And so he had got used to the Irish way of working, and then we went back to England and we found them offhanded and rude. But he hated the Irish. So it's an example of how
Yeah, and when you get used to a culture, like say you go live in Mexico or China for 5 years, you will, it will kind of sometimes ruin your own culture for you because you have become a different person. So you're not a Mexican, you're not a, say, an American, you are this, you're this new person, and your neurology have changed and you have incorporated elements of both and you created something totally new. And if you know that and you know how to channel it, that gives you tremendous opportunities. If you come at it from a place of abundance and versus scarcity, that now you're missing something, actually you just have more of something, you know what I mean? Yes, you good.
It's funny to see this from the flip side too. We kind of are talking about this in the sense of someone, you give them an assignment and they don't want to commit to a deadline. In our office we have a program manager who everyone tries to do the opposite, where he'll kind of say, we need to get this done, we need to do this, I need you to do this. And one of the first pieces of advice I got, they're like, oh, well, when you work with him, make sure you press him for a deadline, because he never gives us a deadline. So when he kind of assigns action items, there's always a couple people in the meeting that are like, okay, well, when do you want that done by? What does that look like?
Is he from Independent?
Him to kind of give a little bit more direction, but he thinks that if he throws it out there and assigns it, that people will do it when, they'll assess the value he's putting on it and do it when it's necessary.
That's interesting. Is he by any chance from an interdependent culture?
His family's Philippines?
He's an architect. Sorry.
He's an architect.
He's an architect by trade.
By trade.
And so I think that plays a huge part in his management style and how he prioritizes.
Okay.
The big picture. And
Big
he's
picture.
working under, and most of us have an engineering
Yeah.
background.
Okay, and you guys are like, okay, I need to
So
know.
there's a gap there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and so that's why we have sort of our playbook
Yeah.
to manage, and then
What's his name?
what? No.
Or her name? Is it an alias? Give him an alias.
Oh, yeah.
We'll call him a John. So that's like the John's manual, right? Like here's how factory setting.
Yeah, and then we're consultants. We work with a lot of different clients within our client group. There's also other architect backgrounds. There's financial backgrounds.
Yeah.
There's technology backgrounds. And
There-
so we're navigating through a series of different cultures just within the group, and everyone's American, but they
Oh,
come
yeah.
from a different background, which makes it so diverse in that,
Yeah.
in that way.
And that what's interesting about the class is that what you're going to be seeing culture everywhere. And that's a good thing because you'll be able to adjust. And what I want to hear is situations where you made the slight change and it gave you tremendous returns. Just because just the way you, like for example, I work with IT folks and I work with the police and and I naturally have began to kind of embody this style. And so I always ask this question, okay, what does this person, like, what is their definition of, like, what makes them look so good? What will make them feel so good about, like, achieving something or whatever? And police will be different from fire department, it will be different from engineer, it will be different from customer service person, it will be different. And if you just stop and ask that question, and you're from communication, Paula, so you in communication, that's all about the reader and the listener, and so this is all about that. And if you're going to start seeing culture everywhere, and it doesn't take very much, it just takes slowing down and a little bit of discomfort at the beginning. So yeah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, one thing is too, avoid jargon and slang.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, and have you ever been with IT at some point, IT folks, and they start using, because that just says basically, look, and they don't mean it. They don't mean, but they just, but let's just say that, people don't mean them, but they don't mean it. But the problem is that they automatically tell you something about yourself. First, they make you look dumb because you don't know that acronym. And for us to ask, no matter what culture you're from, asking about, hold on, what did you mean about, what is VPN? What is I'm a VPN is such a, what is, authentication or Can you explain it to me? You know, you can't say that. So what happens is that people will just feel disrespected. And I had this situation with somebody where they say, you know what? I just felt totally disrespected. And again, dignity. It's always about dignity. Yeah.
I'm being a little bit flippant, and I wasn't disrespecting you at all.
No.
There's this thing in tech. When tech people go bad, they go they're like cops. They go when they go bad, they go really bad because they have so much power. Because people outside of tech are afraid of the subject matter, right? So
Can't argue because they don't have.
that's right.
Yeah.
So there is, and certainly not everybody does it, but there are some people in tech who throw those acronyms around purposely to keep you shut up and in your place because they know you don't know. And that's, and
Yeah.
so, you know, having the confidence to cut through that and say, let's talk about what this is.
Yeah, and you know, it's such a career limiting factor, by the way, when people do that, because people reach the late 40s or, or the late 30s and they start going, okay, I'm done with this IT part, like the technical part. Can I go to management? It's like, guess what? All those years that you were such a bully, to your users, you were supposed to be spending time trying to understand how to prepare for that next phase by acquiring, by basically rewiring your brain so that you focus on different things. But you miss the opportunity. So now, guess what? That's biggest issue in IT is that transition, where people are having a hard time transitioning to that leadership role, management role, and so on. And partly it's because we sit for so long in that space that we miss the opportunity to begin to have that exit strategy.
Well, and it's been interesting how I didn't mean to do it. I can't say I had the foresight. I've cultivated some really valuable relationships at KCIT because I've said to a developer, I don't understand what you're doing or what that means. Can you show me?
Yeah.
And it's such a trip for them to show you what they do and what they know.
Yeah.
That they love you forever.
Well, and the thing is, it's like the thing is, it's like that's a classic example of how when you change just a slight small thing, and that's really what I'm very obsessed about, is understanding what are those small things that, because we humans are very, very vulnerable to when someone shows us opportunity, like gives us an opportunity to talk about ourselves or gives us the opportunity to show, show that we matter.
And I don't claim to have had the insight. My philosophy is if I can't understand it, I can't manage it.
Yeah, but there was a byproduct. The byproduct of that, what ultimately was happening behind the scenes is that you told him or her, you said, tell me about your world because I am interested in understanding it because it must be something really cool that you're doing. So tell me, show me, here's an opportunity for you to tell me how cool you are. And that, okay, well, in that case, and I bet you anything, it changes the relationships. Small stuff, yes.
I think the same thing with tech. I think tech people are usually a very process, detail-oriented, rule-oriented personality. And they get so deep in it, and their level of knowledge, if you're in tech, it's kind of like you're in tech or you're not. Your level of knowledge is here or it's here. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people in the buffer zone. And I think a lot of tech people, I think they get frustrated because it's hard for them to communicate
Yeah.
from their level of knowledge down to where some of my level, make the Wi-Fi work level of knowledge down.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of miscommunications have come in our district, especially too, is that we're asking questions, but they're not necessarily the right questions because our level of understanding is so low. And tech people a lot of times are just not used to trying to communicate something so involved and so
Yeah.
high tech to people who don't have that level of knowledge.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of conflict just comes from that lack of similar language. We just
Yeah.
understand the language they're speaking and they get frustrated because they don't know how to communicate.
Yeah, and honestly, to be honest with you, IT as a field, and you're getting me under, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear about IT, but the problem is that there is not a legacy of good mentorship and apprenticeship and the ability to impart on individuals those social skills and social cognition and the ability. There is no mentoring. It's almost like what happens in IT is you just promote basically the person who is gonna work the others even harder than they're already working, and they're just and then keep promote them the more, and of course I'm being prejudiced because I come from that field. But the frustrating thing about it is that there is that field has not invested in the human side, and so therefore they're not doing a good service to their own people because these people reach a ceiling and a plateau, and that's the problem with IT is that they reach. Because they haven't evolved their skills to be outside of IT, they always reach that plateau. And so they're all kind of fighting for a very small number of jobs, and it's just not a very, like as you go to the top. So, okay, that's the last thing you're gonna hear me say.